for enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him.
So now, even though this was a Midianite soothsayer, nevertheless, the Lord going to use this man to deliver a message. You understand what I'm saying? So now the Spirit of the Lord have come upon him because he want a message to be delivered. Go ahead and read on.
And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor had said, and the man whose eyes are open had said, he had said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the river's side, as the trees of lin or aloes which the Lord hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters.
So now this is what Balaam is saying. This is the word that the Lord had put in his mouth to say. He going to let Balak know. He going to let us know that, that what's going to happen to the Moabites in the latter days. What the Lord going to do to the Moabites in the latter days. Go ahead and read on.
He shall pour the water out of his buckets,
Go ahead.
and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted.
Now Agag, he was a great king of the Amaleks. Now he said, and he shall pour water out of his bucket, and he shall be higher than Agag. Go ahead and read on.
God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn. He shall eat up the nations of his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce them through with his arrows. He couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion, who shall stir him up? Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee.
Now I want you to skip now and read that 14th verse. Go ahead and read.
And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days.
Now what Balaam is saying, now I'm going to tell you what my people going to do to Moab in the latter days. He took this thing all the way down to the latter days. Now, let's go to Isaiah chapter 25. We coming back here in a little while, but first let's go to Isaiah chapter 25, and I'm going to show you this truly is dealing with the latter days. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 25, and we'll pick it up at verse 5. 25 and 5. Balak was trying to get Balaam to curse Israel then. Now the Lord done put it in Balaam's mouth what's going to happen to Moab in the latter day. He done took the thing all the way down to the latter day, and he done told you about this lion that came out of Judah. Let's go now, though, to Isaiah chapter 25, and we'll pick it up at verse 5. And this is the latter days that we are reading about here. 25 and 5. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers as a heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the terrible ones shall be brought low.
Go ahead.
And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined.
It's dealing with the Lord return here, and it's talking about the kingdom that the Lord is going to establish on this earth. Go ahead and read on.
And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations.
Go ahead and read.
He will swallow up death in victory.
Now, if you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, it will make it clear what time we are reading about here. When is the Lord going to swallow up death in victory? When he return and change man's vile body, that it might be fashioned like unto his glorious body. I just want you to understand what time we are reading about here, but I'm going to show you what he says about Moab here at this same time. Go ahead and read on.
And the Lord God will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth. For the Lord hath spoken it.
Go ahead and read.
And it shall be said in that day, Lo, this is our God. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. For in this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him.
In this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down. At this time. At what time? At the coming of the Lord. That is what time we are reading about here. And Moab shall be trodden down on him. Go ahead and read on.
Even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill.
Now let's go and look at it again, because Zephaniah told us about it. Let's go to Zephaniah chapter 1, and we'll begin reading at verse 14. Because what the Lord had Balaam to tell Balak, that was end time stuff that he was dealing with there. That's why it said it would come to pass in the latter day that is going to happen. Let's start reading though in Zephaniah chapter 1, and we'll begin reading at verse 14. And what this lets you know, that lets you know Moab is still around too, don't it? Even though you don't hear nobody being called by Moab nowadays, but yet he is still around. The Bible, how the Lord going to deal with him in the last days if he's not around in the last days?
That's right, brother.
Let's go and look at it again, because this too is latter day stuff that we are dealing with. Zephaniah chapter 1, and we'll begin reading at verse 14. Zephaniah 1, and we'll pick it up at verse 14. 1 and 14. Okay, go ahead and read.
The great day of the Lord is near.
Now, what day is the great day of the Lord? That is the time of God's wrath, when he's going to pour out his wrath just before his coming. The great day of the Lord is near. Go ahead and read on.
It is near, and hasteth greatly.
Go ahead.
Even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly.
He said, even the mighty man going to cry there bitterly. That's why everybody going to be running for the rock. Everybody's
That's right,
scared
brother. Yes,
now.
sir.
You ain't got the mighty man. He's standing there crying bitterly. Go ahead and read on.
That day is a day of wrath,
Uh-huh.
a day of trouble and
You want to say that
distress,
day is a day of wrath and a day of trouble. Go ahead and read on.
a day of wasteness and desolation,
Uh-huh.
a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness.
Now that is the day of the Lord that we're dealing with here. You understand
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? This is the day of the Lord, the time just before the Lord comes. Go ahead and read on.
A day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities
Uh-huh.
and against the high towers.
Go ahead.
And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men,
Go ahead.
because they have sinned against the Lord,
Uh-huh.
and their blood shall be poured out as dust.
And Lord, I'm going to bring distress on them for what reason? Because they have sinned against the Lord. That is who the Lord's wrath is upon. It is upon those that have sinned against the Lord. Go ahead, continue.
And their flesh as the dung.
Uh-huh.
Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath.
Go ahead.
But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land.
Now go on into chapter 2 and begin at verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired,
Uh-huh.
before the decree bring forth,
Go ahead.
before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you.
Go ahead.
Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth,
And
which
he
have,
says, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth. Now this is for us. You understand what I'm saying? Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth. Go ahead and read on.
which have wrought his judgment.
Which have done his judgments. Go ahead and read on.
Seek righteousness,
Uh-huh.
seek meekness.
Now this is what the Lord is saying. He says, seek righteousness and seek meekness. Go ahead and read on.
It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
And it may be that you will be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. He says, seek righteousness and seek meekness. And it might be that you will be hid. Skip down to verse 8. Go ahead and read on.
I have heard the reproach of Moab.
See what the Lord, now this latter day stuff you are dealing with. He said, I've heard the reproach of Moab. See, the Lord got a long memory. You understand
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? He don't
That's right,
forget
brother.
nothing. He remember all the way back what Moab did and attempted to do to Israel when they came out of Egypt. Go ahead. And in fact, in Micah, he even said it. Go ahead and read on. We're not going to read that today, but go ahead and read on.
And the revilings of the children of Ammon, whereby they have reproached my people, and magnified themselves against their border.
See what it said? Whereby they have reproached my people and magnified themselves against their border. Go ahead and read on.
Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah.
And you know what the Lord did to Sodom and
Yes,
Gomorrah,
sir.
right? And he said, Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah. Go ahead and read on.
Even the breeding of nettles and salt pits,
Uh-huh.
and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, and the remnant of my people shall possess them.
Go ahead.
This shall they have for their pride, because they have reproached and magnified themselves against the people of the Lord of hosts.
Uh-huh.
The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he shall famish all the gods of the earth.
And he's going to famish all of the gods, all them other gods that everybody been serving. Lord said he's going to famish all of them gods. Go ahead and read on.
and men shall worship him, every one from his place, even all the isles of the heathens.
And then after the Lord do that, then everybody going to worship the true and living God. We're going to get back to this later because there's a little bit more to this in this third chapter of Zephaniah, but we're going to get to that part a little bit later. Now, let's go back to Numbers chapter 24, and we'll pick it up at verse 14.